I don't mean to alarm you, but today we might just find out that Full Frame is lying to you, that Gerald Undone is not of this earth, and shooting raw, potentially, much like eating raw chicken, worse than what your grandmother used to make. Let us start.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
All right, we have a lot to get to here. I wanted to see if raw was worth it, so I shot some scenes in whacked out white balance versus Fuji that isn't raw, and can we recover? And then a whole dynamic range highlight roll-off test is coming with all 4 of my cameras C70 that we're on right now with the 24mm 1.4, and then the Fuji XH2s, Canon R5 II, Nikon Z6 III. All that is coming, and then Gerald Undone's advice for us, we should upload in H264. I put that to the test. Was he lying to us? Is he made of dolphin meat? What's a dolphin? Dolphins that golf. I'm out of here. First, let's start with the white balance recovery in raw versus not. That's why I've been shooting raw, because like I'm always in different lighting, things are weird, I set things, I don't know what I'm doing, and then it's like, that's off. But if you're raw, just a little hint of adjustments, and you're fine, you're off to the races. So we start here, Canon C70, 2500 kelvins. You see it, it's beautiful, not at all, very blue, terrible, and I will adjust it, don't pay attention to that right now. I thought that would help me, it does nothing. He was trying to adjust it, but I didn't, I just left him hanging. I did the same thing with Canon R5 II. Don't worry about the different lens, that's fine. And the Fuji XH2s, all at 2500 kelvins with my lights at 5600. So drink in this C70 image, 2500, here's me manually correcting it. I don't know that that looks very good. It's a little like warm, it's too warm. This is why I hate when people say you can just change anything you want. Like, yeah, technically you can, but then you're playing this game where you're just like, okay, raw, yeah, white balance, 4350, that doesn't, okay, we're adjusting. I don't know if that looks good. Okay, that looks, it's annoying, and I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm not on a calibrated monitor, so C70, it doesn't look great, and that's raw, and that's a cinema cam, and we're on it right now. All right, now drink in the Canon R5 II S raw image. We're full frame now, still in Canon's idea of raw. They won't commit to calling it actually raw. There's the correction. That's actually not bad. It's not bad. S raw, you might be real. That's pretty good. Huh? You would date him. Like, you wouldn't pay for the dinner, but he could come in at least a third person in the back seat, right? And so finally we have the Fuji image that is not in raw. And here we go, it's gonna be a nightmare, or is it? It kind of looks very similar to all the other ones. Like, there was almost no difference whatsoever. If anything, it looks better. Like, that's the secret now, shoot in 2500 kelvins always. So if we're looking at the C70, looks maybe a bit magenta with that card. Now that I'm seeing the card, Canon looks more green, Fuji looks perfect. So what I'm seeing from that little bullshit test where we learned nothing, I don't see a raw advantage for white balance, or likely anything else, as we'll see as these tests continue. What I did learn, however, is when you take that footage to the extreme color grading wise, raw, like this is 12-bit compared to 8-bit. Look at my pink card. I like to use that sometime. So this is the C70. You can see quite a bit of shadow noise there, the red highlights, things are not good. It doesn't look great. Let's see if the R5 II is any better. Different, very noisy, almost unusable, but you would think 12-bit over 8-bit, I mean 10, is like much better. Is it? Not according to the pink card. And Fuji looks the best of all of them with just 10-bit basic footage. I think raw is a lie. I have eaten raw chicken before, it's not good. So why are you shooting it? Why am I demanding it? That's the bigger question. All right, next let's debunk Gerald Undone, because I am as smart as he is. I've read a couple magazines in my life, and we're basically going toe-to-toe here with our intellect. He says, first, we're leaving now. Canon, boom, see you later. Okay, now we're on the Fuji XH2s, same lens, speed boosted, both were speed boosted, and I will explain later why we're switching. It will all tie in together in a marvelous dinosaur sandwich. Gerald Undone was obviously made in a lab in Antarctica under one of the pyramids that go deep down. The pyramid on the surface is just the tip of the iceberg, but way down on like level 906, Gerald was forged with molten lava and all kinds of, he's smart, he's good, and we all appreciate his work. So he uploads this video saying, H265 ruins your YouTube compression. Do H264, over sharpen your footage a ton. And then we should be good to go. We're beating YouTube compression. And finally, our videos will look fantastic. So I did it. We have H265, which is what I've been doing. I thought it was like double the quality. So if I have the same megabits per second, it's like twice as good. I'm the best. So on the right, I re-uploaded the video, put them both up on YouTube. So what you're seeing right now is from YouTube. I'm trying to stabilize this. I'm not seeing a ton of difference. If anything, what I see is maybe the H265 is better, but I don't know, in this particular example, like, doesn't it look a tiny bit worse, maybe, the H264? I don't know, this is probably not the way to test it, but I'm just using OBS to record a video from YouTube. This is playing on YouTube. The H265 clip was 40 megabits per second. H264 is 45, because that's the sweet spot where if you increase it, doesn't get any better. Here's a talking head segment from that same video. This is playing on YouTube. I'm hunting for details that weren't there. Compression, banding artifacts, maybe you'll see it. Beard hairs, are they sharper? Maybe. There's a maybe on that one, but it's probably not. And I don't know, the hair, this is 500% now. All I know for sure is I trust that Gerald saw a difference, and maybe one day I'll see it in a certain clip and I'll be like, yeah. I mean, it seems to not crash as much, maybe. I often get like flashes of light in all my videos. Maybe that was H265, those might be gone, but that lamp flashes. That's why I stopped using it. It's just like, we have power outages and it just dims, and Tesla towers, come save us. So I'm going to continue using H264 now in Gerald's new settings. I'm not going to over sharpen it, I'll tell you why. I think, personally, Gerald Undone's video looked a little sharp. It looked over sharpened. Like, he was like, if you way over sharpen it and then upload it, by the time it gets there, YouTube corrects it all. That's not what I was seeing. I was seeing very sharp, clinical, but that's what he likes. He loves Sony for the clinical nature of it. He has Sony lenses, so sharp and crispy. So there's nothing wrong with either loving like a vintage look or a crispy Sony image. Like, look at this white balance, whatever the hell I'm doing right now. Like, this is what I do. So thank you, Gerald. I will use your advice. One day I'll see the benefits. All right, last test here, a highlight roll-off dynamic range battle you could not even imagine the winner of. So like, we did them all, let us switch. Once again, goodbye Fuji, I love you. All right, we're on the Canon R5 II now, same lens. We have one more camera to switch to after we do the highlight roll-off battle. And then you'll see it all tie together like someone was tying your shoes in 8th grade. So what we have here is a series of events unlike any in mankind's history. We have Fuji footage, Canon C70, Canon R5 II, Nikon Z6 III with both LUTs. Film bias versus the other one. Now, I'm sure user error will have crept in at some point, but what we've done is Fuji F-Log2C clips at 85% zebras, and so I made sure there was no zebras just under that point for each one. Same with Canon C-Log2 also clips at 85%, so we did that for everything. And the second clip, I made sure that there was this large pattern of zebras, so it was clipping. And we'll also try to recover these shadows in the bookshelf and see who is the actual master of dynamic range. So starting off with the Fuji, we just have the Fuji LUT on. So comparing that to Canon C70, which I did in RAW and in just regular XF ABC, and you can see a little color shift, a little different, like more red in the shadows on RAW, very different. You can see it more when I actually lifted it up here. God, why didn't I do that? Red, and then a little more normal. So RAW color science, maybe not your best friend. And I did the same thing with the Canon R5 II. We got S RAW in the beginning and then just regular XF ABC. I'm not seeing as much of a difference, but it is slight. Definitely a slight difference. And then Nikon was definitely the weirdest one with the film bias. Like, I don't know, man, Nikon actually, as we'll see, has the worst dynamic range of anyone in the history of mankind. But I would say C70 just slightly edging out XH2s versus the Canon R5 II. Now it seems that it's worse than the Fuji even. Are we seeing that? No? The highlight roll-off seems to be nicer on the Fuji though. And then this, I don't know, it's pink. It's definitely pink in that shot. And here's the regular LUT. So like that compared to Canon, these are both RAW. And last thing I want to demonstrate, I raised exposure for each one identically. So this is the exact same amount as I'm turning them all on right now. I'll be back in about half an hour. There's probably one button that I could just press, but I don't know it. Okay, I'll play this full screen so you guys can see. Look at that Trivium book. I put that there strategically so we could see it. Fuji has a lot of banding at this particular shutter speed because I don't know what I'm doing. Then we have the Canon appearing to have much better shadow detail with way less noise. Like it's not even close noise levels to the Fuji. When it comes to Canon R5 II, like that is just much worse. That seems so much worse than even Fuji was. Is that true? Yeah, it seems like Fuji is noticeably better, even though that banding shutter speed action is happening. And then the worst of all was Nikon, which was shockingly weird. Not only like the color shifts, but the noise, like all kinds of flashing going on, like bad times in high school for you, Nikon. What are you doing? And then if you use the regular LUT, it doesn't help much. So like very noisy, pretty bad. And that's with RAW. If you go in regular, just H265, seems like maybe okay. I don't know if it's better, like just bad. So basically side by side with the two best ones, in my opinion, C70 versus Fuji XH2s, you're seeing the difference. You're seeing those noise patterns in the shadows. Switching to the two worst ones, Canon R5 II and Nikon Z6 III, we're seeing like that's a downgrade on both. Ouch. If you put the best versus the worst, C70 versus the Z6 III, ouch, that's not fun. And then the two middle placed fellas, the Fuji XH2s versus Canon R5 II, we're seeing it. Who has more noise? Full frame versus APS-C. So that was something. We learned some stuff there. Now let's switch for the last time to Nikon, and then we'll tie it all together like a bow. And now we're on the Nikon Z6 III, worst performer of the bunch so far. So obviously, I shouldn't be doing these tests. I don't know what to look for. There's a lot of waveform changes. You're racing motorcycles. It's a side street. So on paper, and in those tests, I would rank Canon C70 the best, Fuji XH2s, then Canon R5 II, and then lowly Nikon Z6 III. But in real life, then when you expose, you just shoot. Like each camera, I have changed the exposure to just match what I think are the best for skin tones. So like we're no longer clipping and doing all that stuff. If you just use your camera, are you gonna see a difference? So we start with the Canon C70. There's the light bulbs and the face. That's what we're looking at here. We're not looking at shadow details. It's just who has a pleasing image. Then we switch to the Fuji XH2s. Okay, highlights, are they that different when you expose differently? Because some sensors, if you expose for the shadows, then like they're way better. So like we just did the highlights today. And then we switched to the Canon R5 II. in my experience, I prefer the R5 II image in literally every scenario, but often outside, Fuji will have a bluer sky and it'll be crazy. And I'm like, why is that? Oh, there is more dynamic range. So there's a lot more to learn. And now we're on the Nikon. It's like, oh, okay. I'm seeing some clipping on those lights. And now what I know, it probably looks the worst. So last little test, side by side, best Canon C70 versus worse Z6 III. Are we seeing a huge difference? We might be. And then the middle boys, Canon R5 II versus Fuji XH2s, are we now seeing a closer comparison, skin tones and highlight lights in the background that flash for no reason? So what I personally learned today was that RAW might even be worse, that dynamic range is sneaky and tricky, and I'm sure if I just did a different scene, if we did this outside, things might be different. I don't know. What did you learn? You tell me what you saw. Like, sometimes I don't know, I go by eye. That's why, like, using a Sony for me is so disgusting, because it's like, oh, you can just change, but me changing is like, oh, too much yellow, too much red. I don't know what to, I shouldn't have to do any of that. So like Nikon, I don't love the skin tones inside. I prefer Canon. Fuji has a nice look outside. They all have their strengths. Like, whatever you got. You probably shouldn't test these things and compare them. That's when you see like, oh my God, my camera's worse. I'm selling it for like half the price I paid. It's fine, calm down. So we learned stuff, and Gerald's science was appreciated, if not unnoticed completely, but I'll still use it. Thank you, my friend. And everything is available through the affiliate links, of course, and I'll be leaving now after Bitcoin is donated, because I worked hard and I'm sweating. So do that and subscribe sometime for more videos.